I would like to say that today, all of my views here are representing me personally as a scientist and things that I've experienced as a author, again, as a scientist, as a speaker. So these do not represent views at all of NOAA. And thank you for wishing me a happy Black and Marine Science Week. We are kind of this week trying to, or not trying, but celebrating Black people in marine science and giving them a voice and safe space. And that kind of leads me to one of my first recommendations is really just expanding our idea of science and what a scientist looks like. Um, I always say the phrase science is everywhere, science is for everyone. And I think Brandon kind of talked about this when he talked about science meaning knowledge. It's a Latin term, siesta, which means knowledge. And I think one of the biggest barriers that we have is looking at diversity in the scope of just gender or age or skin color, but it really is encompassing and bringing together all knowledge, right? So whether you are from an indigenous culture, no matter what you look like, no matter what scientific tools that you use, being able to welcome everyone to the table to share their diverse knowledge, their experiences, whether you have a bachelor's, a PhD, or no degree at all, your connection to land, to the ocean, really does help us expand science overall. And that actually hits on the diversity that we hope to see in the field. So I think one recommendation definitely is expanding our definition of science overall and the filters that we have in place to accept what is science. I think we need to eliminate those filters and those barriers and allow everyone to contribute to this field because that's going to expand our perspective. It's going to expand our questions, our solutions, and that is actually true diversity. Um, Another, recommendation that I have, and this kind of goes to Black and marine science. A lot of times we look at science in this way of equality, not recognizing that there are already barriers in place. And I think the conversation really needs to shift from simply being equality towards equity. And Black and marine science, as well as Black women in ecology and marine sciences, there's minorities in aquaculture science, there's minorities in shark science. There are all of these kind of nonprofits that are starting to form to actually help build equity in marine science and move the conversation forward. So I think, again, we need to start thinking about this in the concept of not just equality, but equity, understanding that there are already barriers that exist. So how do we really support groups that have traditionally been underrepresented in this field? And then lastly, something that I always encourage is partnering with historically Black colleges and university. And I think Corey did a great job of kind of, talking about what are the needs of of the people or their cultural needs or associations that we really need to better understand and learn to partner with and collaborate with. And I think historically Black colleges and minority serving institutions are a great resource because oftentimes at those universities or institutions, there is diversity and there's already a sense of belonging cultivated. So I always encourage people to partner with those institutions. In fact, Corey showed us statistics on PhDs in ocean science, and there seems to be no progress over the last 40 years. But most PhDs that are awarded to Black people in ocean science happen to come from Hampton University. They actually produce about 80% or more of those who get PhDs in ocean science. So it's an incredible untapped resource to partner. And when I say partner, I don't mean, hey, can I put your name on the grant? I mean, actually cultivating relationship, understanding cultural needs, and helping to provide safe spaces for students as they matriculate out of these historically Black colleges and universities and to minority serving institutions. So those are kind of my recommendations: expanding our knowledge of science, partnering with HBCUs, and really shifting the narrative from equality to equity in marine science. And with that, I'll stop there.